Related services. Related services are non-assurance engagement services. In these engagement services, we do not give any assurance. Related services are of two types: SRS 4400, SRS 4410. Introduction to related services. Chartered accountants in practice are often asked to provide services to clients which do not involve the expression of opinion on the true and fairness of the financial statements. For the purpose of standardizing the procedure to perform such kind of non-assurance services, the AASB of ICAI issued two standards on two different services, that is standards on related services. The following standards have been issued under standards on related services: SRS 4400, SRS 4410, SRS 4400. Engagements to perform agreed upon procedures regarding financial information, SRS 4410. Compilation engagements. What are related services? Assurance engagement means an engagement in which a practitioner expresses a conclusion designed to enhance the degree of confidence of the intended users other than the responsible party about the outcome of the evaluation or measurement of a subject matter against criteria. It means that the practitioner gives an opinion about specific information, due to which users of the information are able to make confident decisions, knowing well the chance of information being incorrect is diminished. Not all engagements performed by practitioners are assurance engagements. Other frequently performed engagements that do not meet the definition of assurance engagements include the preparation of tax returns, where no conclusion conveying assurance is expressed, consulting, that is, our advisory engagements, such as management and tax consulting, engagements covered by standards for related services, such as agreed upon procedures engagements, and compilation of financial or other information. The above engagements are in the nature of related services. What are agreed upon procedures? In an engagement to perform agreed upon procedures, the auditor is engaged by the client to issue a report on factual findings based on specified procedures performed on specified subject matter of specified elements, accounts, or items of a financial statement. For example, an engagement to perform agreed upon procedures may require the auditor to perform certain procedures concerning individual item of financial data, say accounts payables, accounts receivables, purchase from related party, and sales and profits of a segment of an entity, or a financial statement, say a balance sheet, or even a complete set of financial statements. However, a person performing related services need not necessarily be the auditor of the entity's financial statements. SRS 4400. Engagements to perform agreed upon procedures regarding financial information. SRS 4400 provides guidance on the auditor's professional responsibilities when an engagement to perform agreed upon procedures regarding financial information is undertaken, and on the form and the content of the report that the auditor issues in connection with such an engagement. The objective, in accordance with SRS 4400, the objective of an agreed upon procedures engagement is for the auditor to carry out procedures of an audit nature to which the auditor and the entity and any appropriate third parties have agreed, and to report on factual findings. As the auditor simply provides a report on factual findings of agreed upon procedures, no assurance is provided by him in his report. Instead, users of the report assess for themselves the procedures and findings reported by the auditor, and draw their own conclusions from the work done by the auditor. The report is usually restricted to those parties that have agreed to the procedures to be performed, since others, unaware of the reasons for the procedures, may interpret the results. The objective of an agreed upon procedures engagement is to carry out the procedures of an audit nature to which the auditor and the entity and any appropriate third parties have agreed, and to report on factual findings. No assurance is provided in such a report. Such agreed upon procedures engagements are non assurance engagements. Audit versus agreed upon procedures. The key difference between an audit and an agreed upon procedure relates to assurance. An audit expresses an opinion and provides assurance to users. However, in an agreed procedures engagement, only a report on the factual findings of the agreed upon procedures is provided. No assurance is given to users. Instead, users draw their own conclusions based on factual findings stated in the report. For example, an agreed upon procedure engagement to evaluate validity of the accounts payable may state the following: comparing of the names of major suppliers and the amounts outstanding as on the date of the related names, as on the date to the related names and the amounts in the trial balance, obtaining suppliers statement or confirmations from suppliers to confirm balances outstanding on a date, comparison of such statements or confirmations to the amounts in the trial balance. Further, actual findings like variation in balances reflected in trial balance and statements or confirmations are given. The actual findings are reported as such providing an assurance. Without providing an assurance. So, in this case, no assurance will be provided. General principles of an agreed upon procedures engagement. The auditor shall comply with the Code of Ethics issued by ICAI. Ethical principles governing the auditor's professional responsibility for this type of engagement include integrity, objectivity, professional competence and due care, confidentiality, professional conduct, and technical standards. Independence is not a requirement for agreed upon procedures engagement. However, the terms or objectives of the engagement may require the auditor to comply with the independence requirements of the Code of Ethics issued by ICAI. Where the auditor is not independent, a statement to that effect should be made in the report of factual findings. Here, independence is not emphasized, it is less relevant. Independence is less relevant, but auditor should be independent. Defining the terms of engagement. The auditor should ensure with representatives of the entity and ordinarily other specified parties who will receive copies of the report of factual findings that there is a clear understanding regarding the agreed procedures and the conditions of the engagement. Matters to be agreed include the following: nature of the engagement, including the fact that the procedure performed will not constitute an audit or a review, and that accordingly no assurance will be expressed. Stated purpose for the engagement, identification of the financial information to which the agreed upon procedures will be applied, nature, timing, and extent of the specific procedures to be applied, limitations on distribution of the report of factual findings. When such limitation would be in conflict with the legal requirements, if any, the auditor would not accept the engagement. It is in the interest of both the client and the auditor that the auditor sends an engagement letter documenting the key terms of appointment. An engagement letter confirms the auditor's acceptance of the appointment and helps avoid misunderstanding regarding such matter as the objectives and scope of the engagement, the extent of the auditor's responsibilities, and the form of reports to be issued. Matters that would be included in the engagement letter includes a listing of the procedures to be performed as agreed upon between the parties, a statement that the distribution of a report on factual findings would be restricted to the specified parties who have agreed to the procedures to be performed. Planning. The auditor should plan the work so that an effective engagement will be performed. Procedures and evidence. The auditor should carry out the procedures agreed upon and use the evidence obtained as the basis for the report of factual findings. The procedures applied in engagement to perform agreed upon procedure may include inquiry and analysis, recomputation, comparison, and other clerical accuracy checks, observation, inspection, obtaining confirmations. Reporting. The report on an agreed upon procedures engagement need to describe the purpose and the agreed upon procedures of the engagement in sufficient detail to enable the reader to understand the nature and the extent of the work performed. The report should also clearly mention that no audit or review has been performed. A report on factual findings should contain title, addressee, Ordinarily, the appointing authority, identification of specific financial or non-financial information to which the agreed upon procedures have been applied, the statement that the procedures performed were those agreed upon within the recipient with the recipient, a statement that the engagement was performed in accordance with standard on related services applicable to agreed upon procedures engagement, identification of the purpose for which the agreed upon procedures were performed, a listing of the specific procedures performed, a description of the auditor's factual findings, including sufficient details of errors and exceptions found, a statement that the procedure performed do not constitute either an audit or a review, and as such, no assurance is expressed, a statement that the auditor performed additional procedures, an audit or a review, other matters might have come to light that would have been reported, a statement that the report is restricted to those parties that have agreed to procedures to be performed, a statement when applicable that the report relates only to the elements, accounts, items, or financial or non-financial information specified, and that it does not extend to the entity's financial statements taken as a whole. Date of the report, place of signature, auditor's signature. Next, documentation. The auditor should document matters which are important in providing evidence to support the report of factual findings and evidence that the engagement was carried out in accordance with this SRS and the terms of engagement.